What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Your Natural Best. I'm Dawain, here with my co-host, who we have, Sarah.
I'm Sarah Hobson.
And Eric Shelton.
Awesome. So we are back with another episode. This podcast is it's kind of twofold because we have some pro bodybuilders in the building, and then also these are the programmers for the E2M Premium program. And so we're going to intermix some bodybuilding conversation as well as some E2M Premium conversation, because we want this to be a resource to people when it comes to E2M Premium. And before we start to get into our actual topic, Sarah, what has been your just thoughts about the E2M Premium program, and what feedback have you seen so far?
Okay, yeah, it's a fantastic program. We've been getting nothing but positives about it. People are loving it. They really like that the workouts are super effective, but are only 15 or 20 minutes. So we've been getting some really positive comments back about the whole program.
So Eric, I would ask you the same question, but everybody seems to blame you for their soreness and all of that. But talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so it came across one video. I don't know what made me think about it. I guess 704, the baby. He blamed it on baby. So I was like, hey, blame it on Eric. So I've been seeing the hashtag, but kind of all the sentiments that Sarah just said is simple, quick, effective. And I mean, everyone who has to do these inside of the studio, we film them before you guys film them. So we know they work.
Absolutely. So let's talk about today's topic is creating an effective fitness routine, and let's talk about that. And let's talk about that from two aspects. One aspect from a bodybuilding perspective, as far as like what your focus may be. I talked to you, Sarah, yesterday about how I had a critique after my show, and you saying you didn't. So let's talk about it from that aspect, and then the implications when it comes to E2M Premium. So I'll start with, from the bodybuilding aspect, creating an effective fitness routine. What's the key for you when it comes to creating your routine? What's the key for that?
Okay, so a key for me is just realizing what works for your body, and it just takes time to figure that out. Some people really prefer certain styles of working out. I prefer kind of like the bro split, kind of an old school, focus on one body part, hit it really hard one day, and then move on to the next body part the next day. Some people prefer like a push-pull leg day, or functional training. Really, it's just trying to figure out how your body responds, making sure that you're constantly switching it up and challenging yourself, but at the same time, giving yourself long enough to, do the program that you've chosen for yourself, or that, someone has chosen for you, and kind of giving it a couple months and then switching it up. But even if you're doing the same style for several months, there's always ways that you can challenge yourself.
Absolutely. So Eric, I mean, you have a unique perspective, because not only do you train, but you actually build for other guys, man. What's kind of your philosophy when it comes to building an effective fitness routine?
Gotcha. And I think I'm going to take it a step further. Your fitness routine, I think, is even more so what you do outside of the gym. It's your sleep. It's your routine to eat. It's your routine for when you work out. Like, we all have very different lives, working very different jobs. So the time you wake up to the times you can train is something you have to implement into that routine. Like, how do I eat before I go to the gym? And I mean, the working out part is something that we all get to, right? It's something that is necessary for us. So we know that aspect, but I think the routine is from sun up to sundown. Like, my favorite phrase in bodybuilding that I came up with is there's no off switch to bodybuilding. You do it 24 hours a day. So from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, you're bodybuilding. So developing a routine inside of the gym and outside of the gym, all of those things are, of course, independent based, right? Or based on the person. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing that you brought up, Sarah, that I really like, you have to give it a chance to work. Because even in my weight loss journey, I've done several, and I always tell people E2M work, but then truthfully, I never gave anything more than 30 days or more than 2 weeks. E2M was the very first thing that I did from start to finish. And so I think it's really key that people understand that you have to give it time to work. You have to put in, more than a week, more than 2 weeks before you change it up, because that is kind of the thing about America is we want variety. We want to change it every few, whatever, man. But I think that's really key, and just kind of diving into that. Jeff even talked about I still do the same workout I've been doing for years, and I like how you mentioned, being able to challenge yourself. So talk about how do you challenge yourself when you're doing the same routine? What are some ways that you can challenge yourself?
Yeah, so I feel like I challenge myself every single workout. I do something slightly different every single time. Even if it's just doing biceps. So there's so much you can do. You can increase the weight. Those are kind of the most common ones. Increase your weight, increase your reps. But then you can mess around with tempo a little bit. You can do, slow. You can hold at the top of work at certain moves. You can squeeze. You can work with, even when you become really advanced, you can just tweak, how you're holding the weight, how you are positioning your wrists, how you just there's so many different things and how you can tweak your exercises to kind of challenge yourself, and sometimes sometimes it's something really small and then you get really sore the next day and you're like, well, that really worked. So.
Right. No, that's absolutely that's correct. And then Eric, you touched on something that I want you to dive into. It's the outside of the gym aspect, the importance of rest. Because I used to tell, people like, you don't take a rest day. And I was like, man, I'm resting 23 hours of the day, in my mind, So kind of talk about that aspect, because, when it comes to fitness, it's not something you turn off or whatever. You're supposed to be in it at all times, man. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think, well, we already know we live in a society where there's no days off and, no sleep, no sleep, no sleep, team, no sleep. So I think the importance of rest is, of course, to build muscle. Every time you go to the gym, you're breaking down muscle, right? You're breaking down those muscle tissues. And then you're constantly trying to go back and lift those same body parts. So you're not giving your body a proper time to recover. I can't even lie, like it's self-inflicted. Like when I was in college, I started lifting, and that was 6-7 days of lifting, right? And then I realized after over the years of learning more and more, like my split went from 7 days to 6 days to even now it's 5 days. And listening to a lot of different, scientists, listening to a bunch of different bodybuilders, some of them even do 4-day splits, but they train as hard as they can. And if you're training super intense, like I know we all train at different levels and different intensities, because everybody's purpose isn't to gain the most muscle, it's to gain muscle, but not the most muscle. So the guys who's really tearing down their muscles and tearing down their bodies actually need multiple days or a day or two to recover every time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sarah, what's your thought about rest and recovery?
So rest for me is very difficult, just because.
Sure. Talk about it.
Yeah. Because the gym for me is a mental thing too. And it's just a place where I can kind of just get rid of all my stress. And then I'm a much happier person walking out of the gym, and I need that every day. But I force myself to take days off, because I know that if I really want to maximize muscle growth, I do need, like what Eric said, I do need that time to just let the muscle repair itself. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know, kind of the perspective I bring to the table is from the E2M client perspective. And I know as a client, because we offer something every day, I wanted to do something every day. I literally we had something on Saturday, I was up with Jeff, we had something on Sunday, I was up with Brad, but I didn't really take that rest. But I will say my goal was a little different. It wasn't necessarily trying to build a lot of muscle. It was just weight loss, So is there a different philosophy when it comes to weight loss? I mean, I know rest is still important, but is it kind of, a different view? I mean, I'm just curious. I don't even know the answer to this one.
I think for me, I guess my perspective on that is weight loss is all about how many calories you burn, right?
Right.
So we should burn calories daily, right? But people how do you do that without working out? So most weight loss or fat loss programs, it's not super strenuous as a resistance training every day. It's more so, hey, I'm trying to go burn these calories. I'm doing, cardio, circuit training, things of that nature that's not super high impact or not super killing those muscles every day. For bodybuilders, on the other hand, of trying to build muscle, you're constantly punishing your body every day. And I'm using that in a very great term. Punishing your body is a great thing. It sounds horrible, but us trying to build muscle, like we said, even as Sarah said, it's stress relieving for us, that accomplishment of lifting a heavier weight or actually leaving the gym sore is an accomplishment for us. So I think the two, rest is equally important, But I think if you're doing lower impact stuff or cardio based or circuits, the rest periods can be, or the rest days aren't as needed, but they're still needed.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really good to talk about, like I said, for our clientele, because I'm telling you, because it's there. And, for me, it was, I've never been able to do any of this stuff before. Like, I'm able to do it. Like, why not do it? So I like that part. So let's talk about a basic general routine. Like, somebody that's watching, like, okay, I understand. I need a good routine. And Sarah gave several examples, and Eric, you kind of touched on some. What would someone just starting out? I mean, of course, we want you to join Premium and do the program. We got a program set up Monday through Sunday, tell you exactly what to do every day. You don't have to think about it. Join Premium. But for somebody that's watching, possibly YouTube or on to listen to the podcast, what would be just a general place to start when it comes to building your routine? Either one of y'all can go first. Whoever got the answer first.
One thing that popped into my head when he was asking that question is some people want to focus a little too much on the areas that they, feel is a area of weakness for them.
That's a good point.
And if you focus too much on that area, you're neglecting all your other areas. Well, your body, think of it as a whole, and you don't want to become dominant in one muscle and then, neglect other muscles, and that kind of throws your body off. It could be bad for your joints. And so that kind of popped into my head when you were talking about that.
That's a great point, because I'm sure y'all heard it too, but we'll get it more because of where we at. But hey, how can I work on this part right here on my back? You see this muscle right here? Like, I want that muscle. The guy's like, that's not how that works, bro.
Right.
Like, I don't want to lose no more weight. I just want to show my abs. Bro, listen.
It doesn't work that
way. It don't work like that. So that's a really good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually one of my fears with developing Premium and having body part specific workouts, is because somebody that feel like, oh, I need to work on my arms, they're gonna do arms 7 days a week. Actually, they can't, because arm workouts are tough. They might
2 in 1 day, you're done for the week.
But no, that's a great point. So all right, E, since Sarah wants a different direction, then the question falls on you, man. What is a basic start when it comes to a workout? Like, what would you tell somebody for the very first time, it's never started? Like, what's basic routine?
So I feel like starting your basic routine, you got to know the important factors. First, I will always say, set your baseline. Mm-hmm. Say, I'm going to work out 3 times this week and stick to that 3 times. I think 3 times is usually how everyone starts. But even if you can't do 3 days, start with something. Start with a day of walking, start with 1 day in the gym, whatever that looks like. But also know what outside of your gym life looks like. So, hey, I'm going to challenge myself to at least sleep 7 hours this week, because that's also going to carry over to the next day of you having to go to the gym. You're resting and you're taking care of your gym life. And even on top of that, you said your whole exercise routine. So, hey, figure out what you're going to start eating. And even if, like I said, even if you're not a macro person, especially E2M, even if you're a meal plan person, at least know what you're going to eat and set yourself up for that routine. I think the most important thing is, pre-planning and planning ahead. So then that way, hey, I'm going to go do, let's say hypothetically, chest and shoulders tomorrow. All right, I'm going to eat this tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get my sleep tonight. So just set a baseline and then just try to hit that baseline as best as possible.
I like that. So before we get ready to wrap it up, I got one more question, and this is for you, Sarah, because one of the number one things we hear when people try to start a routine, let's say they have the routine, they want to start it, let's say they didn't sign up for Premium, they don't have the guidance, but you should sign up for Premium. But if they did not, a lot of women talk about not knowing what to do in the gym. What do I do when I go to the gym, when I walk in, how am I going to do a routine? Like, what would be your survival's guide to walking into a gym?
Honestly, I think for a woman, one of the best things you can do is just find a buddy that you can go with. Then you don't feel like as awkward, and you feel a little, more confident going up to those machines and trying to figure them out together. And just having someone to just figure things out with. Or, you know, you could go and there's people at the gym that are more than happy to help you too. You can just ask them and they'll show you how the machine works or give you some ideas with some different workouts you could do or moves you can do. So
that's great. That's a great idea. Taking a buddy definitely takes away from the awkwardness, and you know, y'all could be silly together. You know, y'all could be on the back thing with your feet on it instead. You know, like you see those videos on Instagram. You know, as long as you're doing it together, that's all that matters. But no, this is really good, man. We'll be back for another episode of Your Natural Best, and till next time, we're out of here.